to hit it.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Camo Convoy podcast with Aaron and Nick. Aaron, I see something cool behind you.
Got the taco in here tore apart.
I'm excited.
Who wants to see a hole? You want to see a hole?
Yeah. Oh, I love holes.
There it is. It's just sitting there. No bolts are in it. It's probably coming out tomorrow, which will be yesterday by the time this gets edited. And I'm probably going live with the stuff. It will be on my YouTube channel, which will be Mizell Motorworks. Mizell.
We're going to link it right there.
Yeah, it's here. Progress has started.
Yeah, I'm very excited to just for the lives. I nerd out a lot to builds and builds that I care about a lot more, builds that I know and care about. I'm going to be following along. I'm going to be annoying you in the lives very frequently. And I think I'm sure our Discord is going to be blowing you up. I don't know if you're actually going to get any work done or not. You're going to need to link your TV to Discord and just turn your voice to text on.
I'm probably going to do a lot of lives with this because I don't have time to edit. And I think that it shows the story better of all the problems that I'm going to come across and how I solve them. And it keeps it real. It's going to be able to show a lot more tech tips and just stuff along the way.
I'm very excited for that. Yeah. Well, listen, guys, follow Aaron, blow him up on the lives. It's going to be a good time. So, Aaron, we've been talking to these folks for a long time, and we haven't really explained to anybody what Camo, Central Appalachian Mountain Overland, is and who we are. For all everyone else knows, we're just some Starbucks, not muddy boots types talking at everybody. So what are we doing today?
We are going to tell our life stories and talk about who we are and like how Camo came to be, which is a really cool story on your part that mirrors a lot of how I got into this too. I think we're going to parallel our lives a lot with these stories.
Yeah. And I'm going to get touchy-feely with you guys because believe it or not, I really like you a lot. All of you people. I like Camo. It means a lot to me. Even the haters, even the Redditors. Actually, no, I don't like the Redditors. I can't even lie. You guys are terrible. Some of you are all right, but the majority of you will never meet each other because I don't go to coffee shops. So.
Me either.
But listen, guys, sit tight. And if you are listening to us on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, you're going to miss out a little bit because I have a little bit of video here for you. And I want to take you through the story of Camo.
So what is Camo and how did it start? Well, throughout high school and early college, I was big into cars, racing, autocross, and fortunately, I got to experience the tail end of the tuner fad. I was heavily involved in enduro riding and dual sport trips on a Kawasaki KLR as well, and this probably planted the early seeds for overlanding to grow later. Towards my junior year of college, I hit a deer in my car and I totaled it, and I swore myself off of modifying anything ever again. Every paycheck that I made while I was in school went into that car, and I lost it all when I smacked Bambi. It wasn't a lot, but to me at the time, it was. I needed something to replace that car that would fit adult needs. I like to camp, I like to hunt, I like to fish, and I was eventually going to be buying a house, so I was going to need something that I could do big boy things in. So I need a truck. I didn't want anything full size because I needed to commute, and at the time my girlfriend, who's now my wife, lived about 30 to 40 miles away from me, so I needed something that got a little bit better gas mileage. I found myself a 2012 Nissan Frontier with 2,000 miles on it. This was something that I swore I would leave stock and I would never, ever modify because I did not want to lose any money like I did with my Focus. Well, we all know that changed. Let's talk about how. Getting this truck was a perfect reason to take it out camping. What better way to break it in? So I gathered one of my best friends, Nick Palco, and another friend from college, and we hopped in this thing, and we headed down to West Virginia. Now, I want you to picture this. Number one, we only had about 5 minutes to get all our things together and go between the time that we decided to go and when it was time to leave. Also, all three of us are 6 feet or taller, and my Frontier is a king cab. We drove that thing all the way down to West Virginia in the George Washington National Forest in late November, early December. It was freezing. We were completely underprepared and overhydrated with adult beverages, but you know what? It was awesome. The way in and out of camp had some mild off-roading, and it really brought out the want for me to camp out of my truck. That night on the way home, before I was even dried off from my shower, I ordered a lift and tires for that Frontier that I swore I would never modify. Fast forward a few months, and Palco became a very talented and successful salesman at a Chevy dealership in Virginia. He brings home a brand new white Chevy ZR2. We decided what better way to break that in than to take the trucks and test them out in West Virginia again. So I got to work gathering my friends with trucks and mulling over my old dual sport Garmin files. I made a mashup of the Allegheny and Shenandoah Overland Trail. Our crew consisted of a 95 F-150 single cab short bed with 33s, and I believe beadlocks as well, ZR2 with temp tags in the window, an XJ that was high mileage and spent a lot of years doing farm kid things, and my Frontier. The feeling when we had linked up and rolled out was something that I have been chasing for the last decade. Nick Palco put this best. He said, "It felt like the Oregon Trail." We got to our hotel and decided that it would be the perfect time to service the rear diff of the Ford. It hadn't been done since the Clinton administration, so now was a good time. After draining the peanut butter and swamp water out of the Ford, it was time to start our journey. Leg 1 was about as rowdy as it goes. About 10 minutes into the trip, we crossed the Dry Fork River. The depth to this day is probably the top 3 deepest water crossings that I have ever been across. At one point, the headlights dipped under the water on the XJ. When all vehicles were across, it was party time. We were hooting and hollering and celebrating what we had just done in essentially all stock trucks. When something looked cool, we stopped, got out, explored, looked around. If something looked like an obstacle, we treated it like Cliffhanger in Utah. I have videos of some of the most underwhelming ruts on a road that we treated like major events, because for us, at the time, it was. We set up camp in what was left over from either Dad or Boy Scouts and made the most undercooked chicken wings known to man. The following day, the F-150 screeched out to the Mothman before chewing up and spitting out its belt. No worries, we had a spare. Fortunately, but unfortunately, not long later, it started to make noise again. By this time, we were 40 miles from the nearest auto parts store. We used a combination of holy water and Gorilla Tape, seriously, to make a belt, and we drove that thing the rest of the way to Elkins, where we changed the water pump and belt in an AutoZone parking lot. And that is what kicked all this off. The whole ride home, I was buzzing. How can we do that again? How can I get more people to do that with us? Where can we go? I think I want to do harder trails. What if I build the truck more? And on and on and on. When I got home, I started researching local people doing what we just did. Overlanding! Holy shit, it has a name! So I started looking for more group trips, but anything that I searched for ended at a paywall. What the fuck is this? Why should I be paying for this? I just want to hang out with my friends in the woods and run the trucks. And I realized at the time what I was looking for didn't exist anywhere local to me, or at least in any official way. Alright, I'll do it. Step 1. Facebook group. Okay, got it. Now I need a name. How about Appalachian Overland? That's cool. But I realized very quickly that was taken. And then somebody commented. Someone whose name I don't even remember anymore. What about Central Appalachian Mountain Overland? Camo. Son of a bitch. I'm in. Camo was born. Okay, next question. What's Camo going to be? Well, this question to me was simple. I want to share the joy that can be found exploring with as many people as possible. I didn't really know it at the time, but I understand it a little bit better now. People were looking for human connection outside of Zoom, Slack, a job site, and beyond a cubicle. People wanted to work on a team, not on teams. It was a world where everyone is trying to sell you something, and I wanted to open a door to something that's already free. That's Camo. You see, as an adult stuck in modernity, it's a tall task to balance your life with responsibilities and maintain a meaningful friendship or meaningful friendships. Your best case, you've maintained some buddies from your school days who didn't move too far away, and you work with folks that you don't want to bludgeon with a shovel. Maybe you're really lucky, and the men's group at church is pretty cool. Trouble is, most of the time those interactions are all high-buy, prefabricated friendships. The most excitement and adventure is maybe Chuck had too many Michelobes and fell off the golf cart. Sorry, that doesn't do it for me. And as far as the burnout or the mundane, it seemingly started to strike everyone harder around 2020. It became more apparent that Camo wasn't really just a hobby where we got lost in our trucks. It was an outlet. You can build more than friendship. You can foster a community. When the stakes go a little bit beyond betting the next beer on who has the further drive on the 11th hole. Take a ride a few hundred miles from home and a few dozen miles away from the next occupied structure with a group of strangers. Add in difficult roads, hard to navigate maps, possibly even sprinkle in some extreme weather. You will solve problems together. You'll share extreme highs watching someone succeed in something difficult, and you'll share the lows when somebody breaks hundreds of miles away from home. When you see a light post again, everyone in that group is friends. That is Camo. Since the start, we've made a lot of friends. We've built a crazy community and burnt a ton of gas along the way. As a group, we've gone places and seen things I didn't think would ever fall into my cards. Hell, families have even been started on our journeys. From Colorado to Nova Scotia, Cape Breton Island, up and down every inch of the Appalachian Mountains, buried in the Kentucky mud and swallowed by ponds in Ohio. Not a single cent was ever made from it, and I intend to keep it that way. Admittedly, I have a bone to pick with a lot of guide services who are simply playing follow the leader on public land and then setting up camp in the national forest. Some of these guys are charging hundreds of dollars per vehicle for that. At best, you're getting a free hot dog and water. Some of the elite guys are giving you a t-shirt. That shirt should say, "I got by the guide." I'm going to let you in on a little secret. A good 80% of the time, I either don't remember where that road actually goes, or I genuinely don't even know if it's a road. See, the best part about none of you downloading the route when I send it out is that if I go off that route, you don't know or care. And that is adventure. Now please, I'm not asking for praise because anyone can click their finger on an iPad and play connect the dots in Gaia on the paths that show alternating brown-colored markings for a dirt road. I don't want to be a guide. That would imply that I know what's going to happen, and quite frankly, that's about as boring as hunting deer inside of a fence. So if what we do sounds cool to you, I want to have you. I want to meet you. I want to be your friend. I want to do this with as many people as possible. I've yet to run into a scenario where we've had too many people for it to be fun, and I believe that I've got pretty handy at making these routes work so that we don't create bottlenecks when we do have a large group. There are a lot of challenges, but that's a monologue for another time. Right now, it's time for you to wake up and dust the sleepies from your eyes. We'll get back into the show.
All right, guys. Dust the sleepies from your eyes. We're back. Wipe the tears as they're streaming down your face from my heartfelt monologue and sick montage of the early days.
Really cool to watch. It's super cool to see all that footage from back then, from right at the very beginning. It's rare for somebody to have that.
Yeah, not knowing it at the time, too. I think it was cool. I didn't know it was ever going to be something, to actually look back on. For those of you guys that don't know, those guys are like founding Camo members, have been around forever. Camden was in the red XJ, Palco was in the white ZR2. I knew those guys really in the middle school, high school days. We did a lot of really stupid stuff in cars together, and then that kind of morphed into the Overland world. But we've been fortunate to meet a lot of really cool people in the early days.
What are some of the notable ones that you've met?
Oh, man, the one that sticks out to me the most, one of the only trips that I really pumped out advertising for, not like paid advertising, but talked about in a lot of different places outside of Camo, was a trip that I called May the 4th, like Star Wars, May the 4th, right? And I just wanted a bunch of people. I think we ran the MABDR, and we wound up in the Mower Basin in West Virginia, or something to that effect. I think it was elements of that. I think we also ran Flagpole, but it was a long weekend. And I got a message from a guy, his name actually escapes me right now, because he has a nickname. He has a nickname, and I'll get to that later, because that's the most important part of this. And he messaged me, and he said, hey, I'm a traveler. I just got this Jeep built. I don't really know what I'm doing. Would you guys be interested in, just kind of showing me the ropes? Hell yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's go. So at the time, my sister-in-law's now ex-boyfriend was with me. He rolled down in his Tacoma, and he's fresh out of basic training. And we were the first ones to this hotel, which was going to be the start point. And I get a message on like Facebook or whatever from this guy, and he's like, hey, I'm here. Do you guys want to link up, grab dinner? And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. We'll go across the street, grab dinner. This guy walks in, and he looks like Jorgen von Strangle from the Fairly Odd Parents. If you guys don't know who that is, you probably have even less hair than me. But basically, this guy was the super soldier. His shoulders were like triple the width of mine. Dude was like an hourglass. Like jarhead, of military, right? And he sits down, and I look over at Joel, and Joel says, oh, are you, do you serve? And the guy goes, oh, yeah, I actually just retired. And Joel goes, oh, that's really cool. What did you retire as? What branch? He goes, 06 Colonel. So Joel, like, slides down in his chair, basically. He's, like, trying to hide, and even though I, am, like, one hat away from Stolen Valor look on the trail, right? I've never served. I'm not in the military. I don't understand a lot of the military etiquette, right? But basically, Joel explained it to me as I don't even belong in the same airspace as this guy, let alone sitting at the same table as him for dinner. So he was like physically uncomfortable, and he wanted to leave. I could just tell he like stopped talking, But this guy ended up being really cool, and we didn't really talk about his Jeep until we finished eating. We went outside. Rest of the group started rolling in. It's nighttime. We're having a meet in the parking lot. And this Jeep is built from the ground up. And we're like, hey, man, this thing is really cool. What's the story? He goes, well, when I retired, I just really wanted to travel. And I felt like doing that off-road would be pretty cool. I just want to be able to go anywhere. So I bought this Jeep, brand new Rubicon. And I took it to OK Four-Wheel Drive shop, and I didn't really know anything about any of it. I just told them if the parts exist, I would like to have it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he goes, yeah, but see, I went back and I asked a friend, and they said that there was more things. So I told them to give me a different invoice, and we could go from there. So he hands me this packet for like $55,000 in mods from OK Four-Wheel Drive. Like 60s chromoly axles, like it had everything, whatever crazy awning system, fridges, drawer, everything. It even had some kind of aftermarket dash, right? He goes, yeah, I don't really know how to use any of this stuff, so I was hoping you guys could show me, especially if I could get stuck, because I don't know how to get myself unstuck. So we took the Colonel up on the mountain. He ended up having a blast, and we said, well, you got to get stuck now. So we bellied him out on this big ass boulder, just set him up on his skids so he was turtled up there, and we stacked some rocks so he could winch himself down off and, not tear his Jeep up. And he thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And there we are, a bunch of hoopties who at the time kind of knew what we were doing, but early on in the Camo world, teaching a retired colonel in the military how to overland, so he sticks out the most. I think that was really cool.
It's cool that, and I see this a lot, is that your daily like status in society kind of gets washed away when you get out in the woods and it's just a bunch of guys that are all kind of equal, just trying to have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a character, man. I I heard this whoosh, whoosh, whoosh noise at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was him running hills at camp. But yeah, he was cool. We've had some folks, not many. I can actually only think of two, who were not super cool. The one was a young lady who was she was very into her Jeep, green Jeep, and we got to camp after what I thought was a fantastic day, and I think everyone else did too. It was really fun, a lot of hooting and hollering, and nothing went wrong. It was just a good day, and we're sitting around the fire, and she just randomly stands up and she goes, "Yeah, I think this was really fun. You know, if I could make a suggestion, you guys need to start charging. It'll really keep the riffraff out." And I'm like, "Honey, we are the riffraff. There ain't no charging." That was her last appearance.
That's funny.
It was neat to grow. I referenced always chasing that high of like finding that feeling of like I'm really out here and it's all new, and how fast that evolved. You know, first it was like, well, we're just in northern West Virginia. Well, now we'll go a little further south. Now we're over into Virginia. And once we ran around in there, it was like, well, I really want to wheel hard now. And that's when we started sending it into Kentucky. And I think we've probably been there as a group, heck, probably 5 times now. But if I remember correctly, your first outing with us was a Kentucky outing.
Yes, my first outing was Kentucky spring last year.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like it's been so much longer. I can't believe.
Yeah, it hasn't even been 2 years. Like this is, I guess, the end of season 2 for me.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Man, that's right. It really. I think I just now realized that that's how not long ago that was. Feels like an eternity.
I don't know if people have picked up on it, but you and I haven't known each other that much, and I think probably 95% of our conversations have happened on this podcast. Like
100%.
Yeah, like we've gotten to know each other because of this podcast and Discord. Really, just shooting the shit all day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. How exactly, because I didn't put on the Facebook group until, well, actually kind of recently, how you found us. So how did you find us? I don't think I ever asked.
I got involved in like some Toyota groups. I just wanted to see who was out there. I got in with a group and we went out. I don't even remember where we went. It was probably like Green Ridge or something. And, it was like we went and drove 20 minutes down a gravel road and got out and talked for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it was, you have a Toyota, I have a Toyota, man. Like, that's cool. Let's rub stuff together over here in the corner because we got the same truck, you know? We end up down on the River Road, which parallels the Potomac on West Virginia on the other side of Green Ridge. And super cool road. Like I'm finally being happy that we're moving. You know, it's only been 4 hours. And we get into Paw Paw and we stop. And we get out. And we're back to, you have a Toyota, I got a Toyota, man. Like, let's talk about it again.
Yeah, the 530 Club. Drive for 5, bullshit for 30.
Yeah. So we ended up getting into Green Ridge. And we basically drove across Green Ridge Road and got up to 68. And they're like, okay, guys, we're done. Thanks for coming out. We had a great time. What is happening? And then I started, you know, I was like, there's better groups out there. I'm going to start looking. And I come across Camo. And you were putting up events that it was like, if you'd have picked a weekend before or after, I could have showed up. But the weekend you picked was like an important life event that I couldn't get out of.
Right.
And you did it like back to back to back to back. And I'm like, come on, man. And I don't know if you remember, but I ended up reaching out to you like
I
2
do
years
recall.
before. And you put up a event. It was the one that the snow one where you were up on flagpole in like negative wind chills and your diesel heater died and whatever.
Yeah.
I was okay with the cold, but like the week or so prior, it's like there's a snowstorm coming and it's like calling for record lows, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not that serious. So I backed out of that one, you know.
Yeah.
And you guys were idiots to be up there.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. I was happy to sit at the house. I just remember sitting in my house going like, man, I'm so warm right now. This is amazing. I made the right choice. I'm happy. Like, this is definitely the group I want to go riding with, wheeling, because they're this extreme, but I don't need to be that extreme. Like, I like the people who are higher up than me on this deal. You know, they're more involved. I was like, this is cool. And the next event you put up was Kentucky.
Mhm.
And you used Aaron Justice's Subaru bellied out on Fincastle. And I was like, if these guys are partying that hard with Subarus, these are my people. So I had been through quite a dry spell of not being out. You know, I had cabin fever, and it's like, screw it, I'm going to Kentucky. So the truck got put in here, bed got ripped off. I had a whole bunch of stuff that I needed to put on it. And it was like motivation to get all these mods done because I didn't have a reason to put all this stuff on before because I wasn't doing anything. You know, I was just driving to work.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting super, super sick the week before.
Mhm.
But I ended up puking every 20 minutes for 14 hours straight. Okay.
Oh,
It was,
no.
I have never been so sick in my life. That was, I probably should have been in the hospital. We were all like that.
I actually think you reached out then too, and you were like, dude, I just want to let you know, like, I'm borderline going to the hospital. So
Yeah.
I'm not ducking you. We're just like dying.
Yeah. It was so bad, man. And my truck store part, I had a friend come up, and I like that Thursday, I was up moving around a little bit, but it was a struggle. And I got most of the truck put back together, but there was no way I was getting the bed on it by myself or had the strength to even do it. I had ate like maybe 100 calories all week, man. Like, it was, I couldn't hold anything down. Like, I was weak. I was not in good shape. I'm just going to go down here and like, I was committed. I'm coming. And I'm glad I did. I got down there Friday. The drive down, I thought was never going to end.
We stayed at, where did we stay? Cali's, right? Or
Yeah,
did
we
we?
stayed at
Yeah,
Cali.
it actually was
Prepared.
chilly. It was unseasonably chilly, if you recall. For that.
Yeah,
trip.
yeah. It was a lot colder than what I was expecting it to be. And that was my first time I'd ever been to, no, I take it back. My first time going to Kentucky where I could actually get out of the vehicle. I didn't just drive straight through. So
Yeah.
I ended up digging through the truck to find my tire gauge, and I found Pepto-Bismol tablet.
Oh.
Had I not found that, I probably would have turned around and went to Cali's. I was eating them like M&Ms that entire trip. I was doing better after that. I was okay. It was a great trip. I remember having a really good time, but I was just sick as could be. We did some trails and we ended up on Fincastle, which I was looking forward to. That was why I'd done my homework and seen what we were going to do and knew we were going to hit Fincastle.
Yeah.
And I was like, that looks rowdy. And when I did my airbags, I just put in my Android radio and Bluetooth relays. And my thoughts were, I'm going to get up on this rock and get stuck. And you guys are going to be like, hold on, your tire's off the ground. And you're going to get yelling. I was like, watch this. And I was going to hit a button and just blow up the airbag and pick it up off the rock and go over it. And none of that happened. I think I was the last one to go over it.
Yep.
And or second to last one. And there was a lot of dumb things that happened that trip. I think we've talked about before. There was some sends and there was
so much skinny pedal. A lot of coaching could have happened.
Yeah, yeah. And there was a lot of new people that we've never seen since.
Yeah, you know what was crazy with that trip was I thought that I was very clear in stating that this would not be like a easy trip. I wanted to do the hard cat sections. I wanted to do the hard DPB sections. It
You
was
were.
muddy. I knew it was going to be muddy. And the folks that showed up, there were guys on all seasons, factory tires. Like there was a truck with no skids, which is like, I mean, it's fine. I'm never going to tell anyone no, but that plus having no experience, again, I'm cool with that, but it wasn't a good trip or a good decision for those folks and the health of their vehicles. It wasn't until the second day that two of those individuals had asked the question if, when we're crawling through the rocks, if they should be in 4 high or 4 low, which explained why there was the rapid releases of energy happening on those two rigs we're referencing.
Yes. There was carnage in the drivetrain.
Was that the same Kentucky trip where Steven wrecked the bedside of the Frontier, or was that yeah.
That was the one that the guy had a stock 3rd gen Tacoma, completely stock.
Yeah.
And decided he was going to go to the left on Fincastle. And I'm pretty sure he got it into overdrive by the time he got to that rock and just blasted over. Listen, so I'm standing on the rock like if you're coming up it, you've got the Fincastle rock over here, like that's the normal line. You hug that wall, you go up over it, you climb, and there's like this area on the left where like if you had a side by side, you could probably sneak through it,
Mm-hmm.
But it was very deceiving in that if you had to stay to like the left side of the big rock, but when you did it, you were close to the rock on the left. And when it picked up, it was going to put your door into
the boulder. Yeah.
Into the boulder. Yeah. And I'm standing on that boulder thinking I'm in the safe zone. Like my toes are like 4 inches from the edge. And this guy comes up and he gets a truck length away and just gasses it up.
Yeah.
And,
mind you, like Spotter standing in front of him, audibly and physically saying slow crawl, completely disregarded.
Yes. How he got through there unscratched, I will never know.
I don't know. That truck left there with not a single scuff on it.
Not a single scuff.
I mean,
I think his tailpipe was even attached where it should have been.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I don't know
how he got through there, but he took the same line as Steven. And correct me, on the carnage, but I think he wiped out a fender. He got the bedside. He dented the gas tank, bumper.
This time that we were there, it was much more of an obstacle than it is currently. And unless you had like a substantial amount of travel, the left line isn't a great option for you. You have to be able to articulate over the boulder. Otherwise, you will launch yourself into the boulder. That resulted in somebody basically leg pressing Steven's bedside as he was sliding.
Yeah. And you know what? That Frontier at the time was like 20,000, 30.
I think it had 10 tanks.
It was that new.
Yeah, I think you just picked it up.
It was bone stock, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
which was super impressive.
Yeah. It did well. We had all kinds of interesting stuff. That was one of the only times I DB'd it, actually. That was kind of fun.
Yeah. I remember yelling up I had starting fluid because I was getting ready to show a trick to everyone. I figured I was probably the only one that was carrying starting fluid and knew what to do at that point. And you guys were like, no, we already got it. And I was like, great, because I am going to puke between here and walking up there. So, and because that's what I was used to. Like when I was going on other trips, if somebody broke, like they became my responsibility because I was the experienced one.
Right.
So like when I heard somebody broke, I was just like, oh no, here we go. Like the trip's going to be stalled. I'm sitting here like, leaned over. I'm sick as hell. I'm like, oh, I don't have this in me. And when you guys did that, it was great. We were moving in 10 minutes again. It was amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, I would have just blown it right back on the wheel there, but I didn't want to stop everyone on that hill. So I just left foot braked it to get the front end to kind of lock up and just gave her the beans until I was out of the muck. But in doing that, the mud on that driver's side was like lug nut deep, and the tire had like 20 pounds of mud in it. So I'm like, all right, I'll mess with this at camp. I ended up just jacking it up and flop my spare on.
Oh, is that what you did? Okay.
I did. I threw the spare on, and then when we got to camp, I just stepped on the bead and pulled out as much muck as I could,
Yeah.
And then that was when we blew it up. But
there's video of that around. Yeah, it was a really, really good trip. I think the trip takes about 10 hours for me.
Yeah.
And that day was like a 14-hour trip trying to get home just because of how slow I was going and stopping and like trying to manage how crappy I was feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it ends up being close to like 8 or 9 for me. The second time that I went down there, I did the whole drive home with the manifold broken in half. Open manifold. Wow. It was so bad. I didn't have earplugs, so I had a microfiber cloth, and I cut squares out of it, and I stuffed the squares of microfiber cloth in my ears to drive it home. It was so ungodly loud.
I would love to take my family there, and I'm like, yeah, it's a day drive, no big deal. I can jump in the van and go, But the memory of that first trip, how long it took, was in my brain for 2 years of how far away Kentucky is.
Yeah, that's how. So when we left Nova Scotia, we were still on Cape Breton Island on our last official day. I looked at my dad.
I wanted to do that trip, by the way. Like, I almost got my passport for that trip, but again, it lined up on a date that I couldn't do it on.
My dad was on that trip, and he was like, "How do you want to do this?" And I said, "Dad, I gotta be honest with you. I want to get home. I miss the kids. I'd never been away from my kids for that duration before. That would have been just my first two." And I said, "I'm gonna send it home." He's like, "What?" I'm gonna go until I'm tired, but I'm going. And I drove straight through from Cape Breton Island to. I live in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
How long did it take you?
I think 26 hours or 23 hours, something like that.
What's it supposed to take you?
I don't even know. It was crazy. We got caught in this thunderstorm. I never saw so much water lying on the highway. And I just turned the suns on the truck, and Dad tucked in behind me, and he's like, "If you hit your brakes, we both die." And I'm like, "All right, cool." But I kept checking on it. I mean, my dad he's not that old. He had me when he was 22, 23. So, he's 55, 55. So, he's pretty spry. And, I kept checking. I'm like, "You good back there?" And he's like, "I'm good. Just, stop for piss and coffee and we'll be all right." And, yeah, man. Did that whole drive straight through. That's the furthest I've ever gone. I guess it's probably the farthest you could fucking go in one hit. But after that drive, I didn't want to see a steering wheel again. I was like actually sick to my stomach because I ended up getting home on a Friday night. I'd planned on getting home on Sunday. I got home on a Friday night, and I had work Monday morning again for the first time in 10 days. And I had a 2-hour drive actually for that particular day of work. And I'd never felt like anxiety before in my life like that. But I laid in bed and stared at the ceiling until my alarm went off to get back into a vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was a long one, man. And that's kind of another thing that's a theme with Camo before we talk about who the hell we are. Um, I like to make things interesting, and something that a lot of people don't have experience doing is driving a long distance. It sounds kind of weird to say that, but a lot of groups and clubs, they meet at an off-road park, or they go and do a trail, and then they go back to camp and they have their beers and carry on, and like that's fun.
Yep.
We do that occasionally too.
Yep.
I like to cover miles. I like to bullshit on the radio. I like to pretend I'm in a convoy. I like to drive and I like to go. And like one of my favorite things to do, which we actually haven't done for a while, is run the MABDR until people are tired of driving. Those have been some of our most fun trips. My personal thoughts, I think it's the most fun to start in Covington, Virginia, and head north. I think Section 1 and Section 2 are not boring, but they're not as cool as 3. 3 is like the ultimate, I think, for the MABDR.
Does that run through Flagpole, or does that stay west?
It stays west. However, the way we typically adapt it is we do break off, hit Flagpole, come back up 33, and then continue up north. That makes it substantially longer. Section 3 by itself, I think, is 190 miles. When people see that, they're like, oh, 190 miles. That's a long way. I'm like, hell yeah, you're going to be setting up camp at 9 p.m. Buckle up, sweetheart.
Yeah.
But, when people do that and they see like, hey, it's the middle of the night, they've never done that before. They're setting up their camp and it's like, whoa, this is new. This is fun. So I enjoy that.
Yeah, I enjoy driving. It's almost therapeutic for me to get in a vehicle by myself and just go. When I did the 24-hour rally, I thought I was going to be worn out by like hour 12, and I was like going to want to be out of it. But man, I was fresh. I really enjoyed just hauling ass and going.
Yeah.
Hammer down and go. It doesn't matter if it's interstate or dirt roads or whatever. I enjoy driving my truck.
Yeah, it's fun. It's something.
And I think you and I have our jobs require us to drive a lot. So I think we've built up the endurance that we're just comfortable in a vehicle driving.
Yeah, we'll have to. We haven't done that for a while. So one of the infamous trips with Camo, I flipped everything 180 degrees, and we did everything at night, and we called it Moons Out, Goons Out. And I'll tell the story. We'll turn this episode into a 2-parter. So I'm going to be in Disney next week, so you'll have something to listen to. So this is a good one. This was another trip where, for whatever reason, everyone and their mother wanted to come, which is awesome. It was great. It was majority Green Ridge, but also I can't remember where we started, but it was south. It was somewhere in West Virginia, and we worked our way up.
This was another trip I was going to come on that you planned it on the exact wrong weekend. Like Green Ridge is my stomping grounds, man. It's like an hour from my house. Like I was like, yeah, I'm going that weekend.
I think it was cold, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say it was March. So this guy, his name was Mike. There's a lot of Mikes in Camo. The guy was a legitimate like rocket scientist. Okay. And interesting as all hell. I think he was from South Carolina. The guy drove the whole way up from South Carolina to come and see us. And so he proceeds to tell us as we're making our way up to Green Ridge that he knows of a pretty cool route that when he was little, he used to go check out. And I had said, I think that's a really good idea. It's getting a lot colder than I thought, and the route that I had planned goes through the water crossings. It had just rained. It's cold. I'll be honest, I don't want to do an alternator in frozen mud. So I like your route as long as it doesn't go through water. Now, somebody had just got a flat in like a terrible spot. We were on the side of the highway, and we got to talking, and I said, listen, we know where we're ending up. We're camping in Green Ridge. Mike will lead groups that don't want to do the water crossing. You guys that want to do the water crossing, go ahead and do it. We'll meet at camp. Be perfect. Now, I believed that the rocket scientist was a very, mature, safe, responsible individual. That's what I would think from a rocket scientist, right? So I'm following this guy.
I know a few of them. They're not.
Yeah, no, not at all. It was like following an
No.
EOD guy. It was
They're the riffraff.
so there's like I want to say there's probably 8 of us in a line. Now there's a couple vehicles that I want to mention in this group. So there's a Chevy Astro van, okay, on tires that had probably been around for like 15 years, maybe even older than this Astro van. All right. We had my wife's cousin in a bone stock black Dodge Ram. And then at the time, Mikey in the white Dodge Ram had just got that giant bumper, but was on either factory suspension or like the light duty lift spring iBox springs. Okay. So keep those vehicles in mind for this. So we make a quick right turn, and there was a particular sign that I now understand. The sign that I didn't read said, "Don't do what you're about to do." So we turn down this road, and the road goes next to a rail bed. And I'm like, all right, it's kind of cool. It's kind of muddy, kind of mucky. Hope I don't pick up any kind of nails or anything. And he just keeps going. And then there's this gate. Now, I'm in very, very distinct 2-track. Like, this is a well-traveled path. I see a lot of 4-wheeler marks. Like, people travel this. So I'm like, all right, this guy knows he's a rocket scientist. Okay. All of a sudden, he goes, make sure you keep your wheels straight. Just follow me. Okay. Now, I'm in the very back. Okay, I'm last in line here. People just start disappearing into nothingness. Like their lights are just illuminating now in front of them. Nothing to the side. Everything to the side has now disappeared. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So I get a little bit closer. And we are crossing an open bridge with no guardrails next to the rail bridge. And there's like maybe 8 inches on either side of my front tires. Titan swapped. So I'm thinking like, oh, wow. I'm like probably 8-10 feet off the ground. This is crazy. Mike Valenti's in front of me in his Ram, and I see him put his flashlight out his window, and he shines it on the rock wall that's off in the distance. I'm assuming he was looking for where the bottom was, and I watch his flashlight go down, 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 and the light disappear, but I don't see bottom. I don't know how high it is. I've never been back there. I don't know, but I know it was high as shit. Now we're like in between these rail beds, basically clipping the railroad ties. And I'm like, man, I don't want to drive on railroad track. This is kind of crappy, Well, then I see this light glowing behind me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like my whole thing is don't trespass. Like this feels like this can't be right, Go figure. Someone from the rail company is coming. We're screwed.
Somebody from the rail company's coming.
Yeah, see, then I noticed that truck must be either 20 feet tall or it's not a truck. And when that vehicle crested the corner fully, I noticed the big round light illuminating the back of my truck, and I saw it was a train. So I pipe up over the radio and I'm like, Mike, there's a train. Now, he responds back. He must not have heard me. He goes, yeah, I don't think these tracks are active, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. Now I'm freaking out. I'm like, there's a train. There's a train coming. So he responds back. He's like, oh, no, go. We can get down into the woods. And from there, like the race was on. And we take off. And mind you, Mikey's truck, if you've never seen this bumper, it is massively heavy. He's directly in front of me, and I'm basically bump drafting him with the Frontier. I mean, I'm literally inches from his back bumper. this buck, which he has video of this buck jumps across the tracks, and you see the white of its eye in his GoPro. He never lets off. If he would have let off, I would have clobbered him. I mean, we were that close. We're hitting, at this point, it's like whoops. We're doing 55 in this rail bed. Trucks coming up off the ground. I'm thinking like, oh my God, my wife's cousin's going to die in the stock truck. Family's never going to talk to me again. All of a sudden, it branches down and the trail crosses track, goes down into the woods, and we all launch down into these woods. Well, when we did that and we jumped back up on the other side, the Astrovan lands and it looks like an IED went off. I mean, just full explosion of all of the gravel in the rail bed all over the place, full tire blowout, right? So as we're finally off, this train goes blaring by, laying on its horn. Engineers probably, you guys are you-know-whats, and I'm feeling like a you-know-what, cannot believe that just happened. This is like, I'm supposed to be responsible. Like, that just happened. I cannot believe that happened. So everyone's freaking out, and I see that the next intersection is Pawpaw. Now, this van is driving on the wheel. He doesn't have a spare. He's just driving on the wheel for like 5 miles. There's a Sunoco gas station. We pull into the gas station, and he's like, I don't know what to do. You know, now it's like midnight. And I came over the radio and I said, listen, Mikey, we just need to find a crackhead. Nobody responded. No one said anything. At this point, I think everyone's like, okay, asshole, real funny. You know, what are we going to do here? Well, there's this guy riding a BMX bike in this parking lot in like figure eights. And I said, hey, I got to go talk to him. I hop out of the truck and I'm like, hey, man, I got big problems. I need your help. He's like, what are y'all into? And I'm like, listen, don't worry about it, but I really need your help. See my friend there, he's got a flat and we need to get out of here. We need to meet up with the rest of our group and I need your help. Do you know anybody? You would have thought that there was divine direction to this child because he was young. He was like 16. He goes, I know exactly who can help you. My mom's boyfriend's coming to pick her up from work real soon. He can help you out. If you could make that call, I would really appreciate it. So the sound of like rattling chains and diesel comes from over this hillside. This old ass Dodge with like literally chains hanging off of it pulls in, and this mountain of a man hops out, and he goes, y'all the ones that need help? And we're like, yes. And he goes, he like gestures over to the van, and we had already pulled the wheel off. He looks at us. He goes, $60. We're like, okay. So we give this dude some cash. He throws the tire in the back of this flatbed, doesn't chain it down. It's literally just a wheel with a blown out tire sitting on a flatbed. Drives off. 20 minutes later, dude comes back with a tire on the wheel. Shook hands and left.
This is such a football story.
I'm like, see, guys, crackheads. I'm telling you, crackheads and rednecks will get you out of any situation.
Yes.
Oh, I'd like to thank whoever those two were because they really did get us out of a hell of a pickle. But that was fun. Ended up getting back, and I mean, it was cold at camp, but the rest of it was pretty calm. But that story, I'll never forget that. That was like true fear. I thought I was going to get killed by a train.
Yeah. So there's a train on those tracks that come through like every 45 minutes to an hour, and it's a big freight train.
Yeah, I learned that. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, there's a lot of active trains through there. I have floated from Paw Paw to Little Orleans on the river, and you cross a bunch of bridges. That's why I'm curious which one it is, because they're all up in the air quite a ways. But yeah, Paw Paw's an interesting town of no stoplight and a gas station.
But yeah, I mean that's basically the MO of Camo. Who are we? All right, guys, here's the deal. We're going to pitch you a doubleheader. This is going to be the end of part 1. So we're going to drop you off here. Thank you guys for listening. Next week, same time, same place, we're going to hit you up with part 2. You can see we are talking at you. Thanks, guys.